In many situations in today's world, you may be asked to give a speech or make a presentation. It may happen at school or in a club or other organization to which you belong. No matter when or where you are asked to make a speech, public speaking skills will come in very handy. The more speaking you do in public, the more comfortable you will be standing before a large audience and giving a speech or presentation. In this lesson, you learn to plan and organize a speech, work with visual aids, use various techniques for rehearsing your speech, use different techniques for overcoming the fear of speaking in public, and deliver and evaluate a presentation. When people think about public speaking, they usually focus on the delivery of the speech. The delivery is actually the last part of a multi-step process. The majority of the work involved in giving a speech has to do with the research, writing, and organization of your materials. With a little organization, you can give just as good a speech as the next person. The place to start is to assess the purpose of your talk. Informative speeches try to educate the audience and increase their knowledge about certain topics. Persuasive speeches try to change or reinforce an audience's beliefs and to urge some sort of action. Entertaining speeches get the members of the audience to relax, smile, laugh, and generally enjoy themselves. It is important to know your audience so that you can relate the topic to them. What do you share with your audience? How do they relate to each other? After you know your audience, you can refine the topic of your speech so that it is directed to their needs and interests. A well-organized speech typically includes three distinctive parts: a beginning, a middle, and an end. The introduction to a speech is very important. It is where you capture the audience's attention and make the audience believe that you know what you are talking about and care about your topic. Your introduction should accomplish 5 objectives. First, it should capture your listener's attention, perhaps with humor. Also, you want to introduce the subject with a clear statement of the main thesis of your speech. You also want to give a high-level overview of your main ideas so the audience has a mental outline of your ideas. You also want to establish your credibility as a speaker and give the audience a reason to listen to the speech. The middle of your talk is where you expand on your key points. As you write your speech, keep the following in mind. Is your speech well organized so that it can be easily followed? Do you develop your main thesis throughout the speech, throughout your main points? Are your points clear and do they support your thesis? Do you use transitions? And are your supporting materials, that is the data you reference and the visual aids you use, appropriate? In the conclusion, recap the main ideas of your speech. Then, end in a dramatic fashion to give your conclusion a sense of finality. Experienced speech makers believe that it is the first and last 30 seconds of a speech that the audience tends to remember the most. You may consider writing your conclusion in such a way that it concludes on a high or positive note and inspires your audience. When you deliver your speech, will you make up the words as you go? That is, will you speak extemporaneously? Or will you read the speech from a manuscript? Will you deliver a memorized speech? Will you spontaneously say what comes to mind? That is called impromptu speaking. Each of these techniques or modes of delivery is discussed in the next few slides. When you make up the words of your speech as you go, this is called an extemporaneous speech. This does not mean that you do not prepare for the speech. Rather, as you rehearse, you reference an outline or speaker notes that remind you of the order of ideas in your speech. Extemporaneous speeches are often dynamic and sound spontaneous and fresh because you are speaking words as they come to mind. You will probably use a manuscript when speaking on a topic for which it is important to have precise wording. For example, in the U.S., when people are asked to make a statement before the U.S. Congress, they often speak from a manuscript. Reading from a manuscript is helpful because it gives you control over what you say. However, it often produces a speech that seems formal and lacks spontaneity and dynamism. To compensate for formality and lack of dynamism, you will need to practice your reading to give it the feeling of being spoken for the first time. Skillful speakers may also make spontaneous changes in their speech at the moment of delivery. An impromptu speech is one that is unplanned and unrehearsed. An impromptu speech is really a mini speech. It follows the same structure as a planned speech in terms of organization. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The main difference is that gifted orators and leaders who are asked to speak spontaneously are able to gather their thoughts and organize them on the fly. They are able to think quickly and use humor and other speaking skills like connecting with the audience, making eye contact, speaking and acting confidently, and so on, to give a successful impromptu speech. Impromptu speaking, like all other delivery modes, is a skill that can be learned and practiced. When used effectively, visual aids can make your talk more interesting and help the audience understand and retain the information you are presenting. On the flip side, by having too many visual aids or by cramming visual aids with too much information, you can cause confusion, distract your audience from your main points, and cause your audience to pay more attention to your skills with graphic design than to your ability to inform or to persuade. Here are some tips for organizing and working with visual aids such as PowerPoint slides. Use slides or visual aids to punctuate and reinforce what you are saying. Do not create too many slides. Similarly, do not pack too much information onto each slide. Remember that the audience has come to see a speech, not a slideshow. There is a phrase, death by PowerPoint, which is a criticism of slide-based presentations because they can cause information overload, resulting in a state of boredom and fatigue. When working with visual aids, remember, slides or visuals should punctuate and reinforce what you are saying. Fewer slides and less information is better. The audience wants to see a speech, not a slideshow. Finally, the audience wants to see your face, not the back of your head. Here are some ideas for rehearsing your speech. Always rehearse your speech aloud. Time your speech, and if it is too long or short, revise it. Rehearse your speech standing up. Try to practice in front of someone so you can practice eye contact and get feedback from them about your content and delivery. Tape record or videotape your speech so that you can review your vocal and physical mannerisms. Practice in front of a mirror if you do not have access to a video camera. Try to eliminate vocal fillers such as you know, and like. Make sure that your gestures and body movements complement your ideas rather than distract from them. Always rehearse using your visual aids to smooth transitions. Just like you planned and organized the content of your speech, you also need to plan how you are going to look on the day of your presentation. When speaking in public, try to dress conservatively so that the audience doesn't notice what you are wearing. Dress appropriately and be well groomed so you feel comfortable and smart. Dressing professionally reflects your seriousness and positive attitude about the speech you are giving, and also helps the audience feel like you have taken time to present yourself well and that they are respected. All speakers expect to feel nervousness before delivering a speech. Nervousness is a natural and helpful response to stress and indicates that you care about doing a good job. Preparation is the key to successfully managing your nervousness. Here are some additional helpful suggestions. Breathe deeply from your diaphragm. Put your talk into proper perspective. Be realistic with your expectations. Remember that your audience wants you to succeed. Focus on sharing your message rather than thinking about your nervousness. Think positively. Use imagery and/or visualization. Plan, practice, and prepare thoroughly. When the big moment arrives, take a couple of deep breaths before you begin and keep the following 10 techniques for effective public speaking in mind. Relax. Give yourself time to take a couple of deep breaths before you begin. Use good posture. Standing up straight conveys a sense of confidence. Poor posture looks sloppy and conveys uncaring and/or weakness. Concentrate on the message. Stay focused on what you want to say. Don't be distracted by things around you. If you are giving technical information, use familiar words. You won't impress with technical jargon that no one understands. Make eye contact. Look at your audience, find a few friendly, supportive faces, and use their attention to make your point. Do not apologize. Don't make excuses for not being ready. Your audience does not know that you forgot one of your charts or didn't get a final graph completed. Present what you have with confidence. Forget ever being perfect. No one is perfect. Just be enthusiastic and pace your presentation to avoid being rushed at the end if time is short. Practice beforehand. If you are using a prop, pointer, or remote control, don't fidget or wrap the cord around your finger over and over. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Have a good time because you have worked hard. If you are confident, are enthusiastic about the contents of your speech, have considered who your audience is, and have done all the necessary preparations, then you will give a great speech. One way to improve your speaking skills is to practice. Maybe you can join a speaking club such as Toastmasters, or volunteer to give a speech for your student-run organization. Another way to practice is to study speeches and presentations by other people. Just like a football coach studies the strategies and tactics used by other teams, you can study the speaking techniques used by other presenters. If you have the opportunity to listen to expert speakers in person, observe their style and techniques. If you can talk to them, ask them about their techniques for planning, practicing, and presenting great speeches. Many famous speeches of the past are available online in video and/or audio format. Talk to your teacher about websites you can visit to review such speeches. Ensure that your presentation is well organized and well practiced. Also ensure that you prepare presentation materials in advance. Finally, speak well. Poor speaking styles, lack of organization, and lack of practice will affect the quality and effectiveness of your presentation.